Good morning, YouTube family, and good afternoon and good evening, wherever you might be. Welcome to Happy Crappy Hour, our Thursday live stream, our weekly live stream. And this is Escape from Crazytown, a channel about, suffering through toxic relationships and healing from them, and how did we get here and how do we move forward. So welcome, and I'm glad that you guys will be coming on. I'm going to give you a few minutes to get on. I just want to start off with why we do Happy Crappy Hour. Happy Crappy Hour is about talking about what went well this week and what didn't go well this week. So the happies, of course, are what went well, and we want to continue doing those things, and what didn't go well. So we want to learn from those things and not do those anymore, right? So let me see. And sometimes the happies and crappies are not necessarily something you're in control of, but they're things that you can learn from, right? And they're a part of your experience, which is great, really good. So welcome, you guys. I'm going to give you some more time here. I'm so glad that I have this time to hang out with you and discuss what's going on in your life as well as what's going on in my life. So today we're going to talk about the narcissists that I know, the ones that are still in my life, the aging narcissists, because I think it's important to let people know our experiences when, especially when we have been with a narcissist for a long period of time. Because a lot of people think that narcissists change. A lot of people think they're missing out by not being in a narcissist's life, right? Because you were part of their life for a time when they were exciting, maybe, or a time when they were on the top, right? When they were at the apex of their life. And when they had dismissed you or discarded you, you felt like, I can't get back to that apex. I can't get back to the top anymore. So you want to know, where are they? Are they missing me? Are they living this dream life? And am I, left back and behind to suffer? So this is why I want to talk today about, where are the narcissists now? I don't want you to go looking for your narcissist now, okay? That's not the point of this show. We're not going to try to investigate and give ourselves an excuse to go searching our ex and finding out and trailing them or spying on them or anything like that. It's really about the narcissists that you are already aware of, the ones that are still in your life. Where are they? I want to share those stories. So good to see you guys hopping on. Mark, good to see you. And John, yay, you're here. And Chrissy Clark, good to see you. Good morning. And I'm sorry if I don't see some of your comments, because for some reason they don't keep your comments on my screen. They tend to fade out and disappear, and I have to keep clicking on my screen to see your comments. So I do try to catch you though. Corinne, good morning. Good to see you. So let's talk about what our happies and crappies are today. Um, my well, I'll start with my crappy. My crappy was that I thought that I had this little cough, or maybe a little cold from last week. And I thought, okay, usually I don't get sick, period. But when I do, it usually lasts about 2 or 3 days. Well, this had lasted over a week and a half now, I guess. Come to find out, I had a sinus infection, which I have never had in my entire life. So I didn't even know what was going on. I'm like, what is this? I don't understand. So that was kind of my crappy. It kept me up every night for a week and a half because you're coughing, the drainage and all. I don't want to get into all that nasty stuff with you guys. But, so I'm coughing through the night, not getting any sleep. I'm getting maybe 2 hours of sleep at a time. And then overall, maybe 6 hours, right? And in the mornings or during the day, I look like a zombie. I know, I just look so horrible. And my friends are thinking, oh, are you okay? What's going on with you? Are you on your deathbed? uh, but you know what? And then it all hit at once. Yesterday, I was supposed to meet up with a couple of different people, and I wanted to call and cancel and just say, you know what? I feel miserable. My body's aching. My womanly time started, of course, right? So I'm bloaty, I'm cramping, I'm headachy, I've got a sinus infection. I'm just so ill. And but I was proactive. Okay, you guys, I was proactive. I remembered I had a neti pot, so I did that, cleared up my sinuses. I felt so much better, best I had felt in over a week. And I thought, okay, now my head is clear. I feel so much better. Um, but the cramping, and then I don't know if I slept wrong on my back or if I don't know what I did, but my back started aching big time. And it could be part of my womanly thing, you know. So my back is hurting. I'm bloaty. I'm cramping. I'm in pain in my back and my gut. And my sinuses. Anyway, all of this is happening. And I decided, you know what? No, I'm going to push forward. I'm going to spend this time, this quality time with these two special friends of mine because it's important. Here's the lesson in all of this. Sometimes you need to just the things that are thrown in front of you to discourage you, to hold you back, to keep you from doing good things, you know what? Push through. If you have a bit of energy, a bit of incentive, a bit of motivation inside of you, go ahead and take that bit of motivation and push through. And I did. I went and met up with these two friends, each individually, and had a great time. Really had a great time of connecting with each of them. And I had a crazy coughing fit with the first one who thought I was going to pass out right there at the table at the restaurant, but got it under control. And then the rest of the time, it was weird. It was like you're being attacked on a spiritual realm or something, right? That wants to discourage you from having a connection with somebody you need to have a connection with. So, anyway, went forward. We had a great time. We reconnected. We're planning on meeting monthly, possibly even every two times a month. And then I met it with my other friend, and that was also very good. It just all worked out. It really did, all the way up to the last second. I'm telling you, up until 30 seconds before meeting each of these women, I felt like counseling. I felt like, maybe I should not do this. Maybe, this is just too much and overwhelming, and I need to just lie here and suffer and, alone and just try to get better. But I didn't. I pushed forward. So that was my crappy, but also something happy, right? That I learned from, and I pushed forward, did well. I still had that cough and sinus stuff last night, but I feel a lot better. We'll see how I last today, you guys. We'll see. So let me see here. Julie says, "Hi, sweetie. I hope you're doing great." Thank you so much, Julie. I am doing so much better. TV, good to see you. And PMGC, good to see you. Mike, good morning. Jihad, yay, you're here. Okay, you guys, so many of you guys are here. Chrissy, good to see you. Just going back. Did I say hi to Chrissy already? I might have. You know what's also weird is sometimes YouTube holds back a comment for some reason, and they're not even like weird comments or bad comments or anything like that. Sometimes they're even just hello, and they won't show me the comment until later. Like a few minutes later, it'll show up and it'll be reinserted between your comments where it's supposed to be with the timestamp. So I'm like, what? That wasn't there earlier. Anyway, that happened last time when I went back to look and I saw a comment that popped up. Anyway, and I thought there was no way that comment was there because I saw the first 5 comments come in and somehow it got reinserted inside of those first 5 comments some minutes later. So just to let you know, sometimes your comments don't come in right away, and that might be the reason why I don't see it. So, you guys, my happy this week, let me see. Was kind of crappy. I didn't really get to work out because I was just miserable and sick and achy and not feeling great. But my happy is that I got to spend really great quality time with my husband. And I know it sounds kind of corny or whatnot, but it's so important to spend that quality time with people who are close to you, who are in your life. And that's how you develop the healthy relationships because you think like, well, I'm just sitting, you could be sitting next to them watching TV. That's great, but you really need face-to-face time. You really need that time to connect on a soul level, right? On an emotional, intellectual, just be present with each other. So we got to do that. So that was my so on to our topic today. I want to hear from you guys. The topic is about the narcissists I know. Oh, here we go, you guys. I think I'm back somehow. And oh, I got to switch that around. Ta-da! Are you guys there? I was getting this buffering and I could not figure out, and I've lost a bunch of you guys. I'm so sorry. I cannot believe, you know what? I think YouTube was trying to run an ad and it just interrupted my video. And when YouTube was running some ad, it interrupted my video and I couldn't see you. And this ridiculous ad was running. I have to go in and turn off the ads. So sorry about that, you guys. I am back though. And sadly, this is going to be a long pause in my video where people are going to wonder what's going on. Hopefully I can edit it. I don't know. We'll see. But welcome back, you guys. I know you're hopping back on. So glad you're back. Yeah, and that was terrible. It was about 5 or 7 minutes. It was, well, you guys, here we go. We're going to talk about the people who we still know, the narcissists that are still in our lives and where they are. And I want to talk about that because I want you to understand as a narcissist ages, they don't get better. They just don't. And that's kind of, you know, they might tone it down a little bit because physically they just can't be as violent or angry or carry on as long as they used to. You know, their tantrums and stuff like that. But life with them is still not great. I got to tell you, you have to compromise to the point where you have to let them have their way pretty much all the time in order to have peace. And that's the way it works with a narcissist. So I will read some of your comments and see what you have to say. Yeah, sorry about that, you guys. We just, you know, and that's sad because I had many more of you guys on here earlier and YouTube was pulling this crazy ad stuff where they interrupted my video with an ad, a live video. Why would they do that? I don't even know. Jihad says, TV, that's great to hear. Does your daughter stay with you? Oh, because TV says her happy with spending time with her daughter. That's great. Oh, Jihad says, I got a nice happy. I started playing tennis again. Yes, that is awesome. I'm going up here. Let me see. Access, good to see you, says, I know where mine are. They're busy working on screwing someone else over. Yes, they do that. Mike, good to see you. Let me see. Access says, they never change. Narcs will always be narcs. They're forever trying to leech people's energy and resources. I booted one in 2018 that loots men's bank accounts. Oh no, and cheats on her husband. Yeah, you know, they just continually they're users, right? They see people as an opportunity to lift themselves up or improve. They think they're improving their own situation, so they use other people. Julie says, I feel really sorry for her. Hopefully she will get his number and escape in time before she's too scarred from his control and abuse. Yep. Mark says, the abuse is nasty. Mike says, narcissists will be narking. And Julie says, it's beyond abuse. It's pure trauma. At least it was for me. Okay, TV says my other YouTube videos were working. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, you guys, for that live crazy. I don't know why. And I almost bailed and started a new live feed, but I really wanted to recover you guys. Access says I had to end my recent relationship with my girlfriend because of her 20-something narc daughter. Oh my gosh, you guys. Yes, that does happen as well, where you don't even want to be around someone because they're relative, it could be their mother, it could be their spouse, it could be their children, right? That is so narcissistic and abusive when you're, you know, and you just don't want to be around them. You don't want to have to deal with them. So sadly enough, it affects your relationship with your friend. And I've done that too. I've I've had to walk away from a relationship and be fine with it because, well, it turns out the friend herself was a covert narcissist. And I've talked about her in my videos. I think it's like, narcissist plus narcissist equals Crazytown, or Super Crazytown. And also, I think a covert narcissist. I can't remember, something like that. But I did 2 videos on that, and she was kind of my inspiration for those videos because seeing her together with other narcissists, it really brought out her narcissism. Really brought out, actually, when she was with somebody who was super empathic, uh, she her she became more abusive. Like her abusive side came out. It was just crazy. But her son was the one who was, really just terrible to her, but also to everybody around him, and very manipulative, very criminal minded, just a user of incredible degrees. And anyway, it just got to the point where you don't feel comfortable around them. You don't feel comfortable having them in your home. You don't want to invite that crazy, awful energy, spirit, whatever you want to call it. You don't want to invite that into your home because it makes you feel unsafe. Yeah. Access says, her daughter would verbally abuse her every time she came to visit or called on the phone. Then, since my girlfriend's care was in her daughter's name, she sold it out from under her. Oh, car was in her daughter's name. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's exactly what they do. And if you watch those videos, I'll tell you also, about empathy. The narcissist has empathy for the worst people. It's insane. They will have empathy. That's a whole other video, so I'm not going to get into that. You can watch that if you want. I'll put it in the little eye circle icon to the right top there after this video uploads. Yeah. Mike says, why are narcs so darn greedy? Well, because they're self-centered. They're self-centered, they're greedy. It has to be self-serving. Everything they do is to protect and project and to, edify themselves. Not edify, to lift themselves up, right? They want to be on top. So greed is part of that. The more they accumulate for themselves, the more they harvest for themselves or take for themselves, they think that's how they win, right? They don't understand, empathy. They don't understand giving. They don't understand how you actually win by making the world better around you and not just taking from the world. Yeah. Well, you guys, so let me tell you about the ones that are in my life, the older narcs that are in my life. One of them you would think is doing well. Okay. On the outside, she seems to be doing just fine. But she travels a lot. She she does go around and visit family. Um, she seems, nicer now, right? More pleasant, but you can just kind of see this loneliness inside of her because she has not been able to connect with people on a deep level. She only knows how to connect with people on this very surfacey, very shallow level. She wants affection, but she doesn't really know how to give affection. She's still very protective, self-protective. You can kind of see that. Like um, she's an island, really. She walks around as an island unto herself. She knows she needs other people because she's getting older and more frail and more insecure, and she needs other people. She needs them to like her, want her around. She needs, them to need her, and a lot of them need her for her money, which is really the sad part of all of this, right? Is that she still has money, so that's kind of her saving grace, if you will, because that allows her to still be in people's lives. Otherwise, I think nobody would have much to do with her at all. And that, I think, is the case for a lot of narcissists, that if they still have money, if they still have resources that other people can use, say they have a boat, right? and other people want to go out on their boat every weekend or, whenever. They'll put up with the narcissist to go, right? If the narcissist has money and their family members need to borrow that money, they'll keep the narcissist around so they can use the narcissist. They'll be nice to the narcissist, and the narcissist thinks this is a relationship. Now, the narcissist still controls them and will still tell them what they're doing wrong. And at the same time, though, they'll give them money because they know that's their connection to those people. Now, those people are not any better, actually, than the narcissist. It's those flying monkeys, right? It's their fan club, if you will. They're not just money. They're fans of the narcissist's resources. So this is the life that the narcissist has. The people who are around them, and you see this a lot with rich narcissists, right? You see in the public eye, you see their family members, scurrying around them all the time, wanting, with their hands out, wanting help constantly. And the narcissists, if they didn't have that, they wouldn't have any relationship at all. I mean, those who are closest to them all use them. And that's really sad. That's the kind of relationship, though, that narcissists have. Now, you can't even imagine what it would be like if there was a family member who has a heart, who wants to be close to the narcissist, but doesn't know how to manipulate, doesn't know how to play these games, right? The narcissist will actually look at that person as the enemy, because that's the one person who would be truthful to the narcissist, the one person who's willing to tell the narcissist things that the narcissist doesn't want to hear, right? Tells them, don't do this because it hurts people's feelings, or that's a really bad idea. I think you shouldn't try that. Or, I think you're drinking too much. And they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear caring words from other people because they take it as criticism. So the one person in their life who might actually really care about them will be seen as their enemy and held far, far away. They won't come to visit that person. They won't spend time with that person. Instead, they'll spend time with the people who are constantly putting their hands out, give me more, give me more, give me more, because that makes the narcissist feel needed. That makes and then they'll say pretty things to the narcissist, of course, with their hands out. They'll be nice to the narcissist, and they'll laugh with them, and they'll play the game, and they know how to manipulate the narcissist. And those are the people the older narcissist surrounds themselves with. That is what I have seen. So if you're thinking, well, I could get in there and I can protect the narcissist because I love this person, you can't. You will be seen as the enemy. You will be the one that at the end will receive nothing in the will, okay? You will be the one who the narcissist bashes while they are with the others, because the others know that you're good, but they don't want you to get any favor from the narcissist. They don't want you to get any benefit from the narcissist's money, their assets, or anything like that. Now, I'm talking about the rich narcissist, right? Excuse me, right? So, yeah, so that's one that I know, and that's what's going on in her life. For you to think that you're missing out because you're not tagging along with everybody else, going on the boat on the weekends, or taking lavish trips with a narcissist, or getting monetary handouts from the narcissist like everybody else is getting, right? You might feel like you're missing out, but you're not. It just means that you're not a user. You're not going to become like those leeches that are surrounding the narcissist. And that's just a really sad and horrible existence, I think, to be either one of those, the leech or the narcissist. So you want to extract yourself from that and stay back. We can talk more about that, and I'll see if you guys have any comments about that type of a narcissist. But I want to talk about another narcissist that I know as well. And I'll go back and forth and talk about the different ones. But the other narcissist that I know, or another one who's aging, is a pretty lonely person. Now, this one doesn't have money. This one has a retirement that pays some, for some of his stuff, but he's by no means rich. He still uses people. He wants to use people. If he can get their money, he'll take their money. He's still very angry. He kind of controls himself a little bit because he knows that he can't keep up with people. He can't threaten them. He can't, um, what is it? Control them with his anger anymore because he's just weaker now. He's just not as strong as he used to be. So he cannot be as imposing as he used to be. He can't be as oppressive as he used to be. So he kind of gets along with people. He's much more toned down his anger and his control and his narcissism, if you will. But it's not really that he's gotten better. It's that he's adjusted to his physical decline. He's adjusted to it because he cannot possibly control people the way he used to. He just can't threaten them the way he used to. He just can't be as oh, I'm trying to think of the word, but essentially, he would use fear, and he would stare them down. He would yell and tirade and throw fists and kick. He doesn't do that anymore because I think he knows it would be absurd if he tried to kick somebody. They'd be like, what the heck was that? You're a very old guy, right? It's not going to hurt. Whatever punches he tries to throw, physical ones I'm talking about, are just not going to hurt, not going to have the effect that he wants. So he has to tone it down, right? He has to change and adjust his tactics. He is still miserable though. And and to his wife, he still controls her. He's still mean to her. He still uses mean words to put her down. He loses his temper. He gets angry and he blames her for everything that's wrong. He controls everything that she does. If she throws away a loaf of bread because it was getting moldy, he'll get mad because she didn't save like 2 or 3 slices that weren't moldy. I mean, it's that kind of crazy. And she lives on eggshells. She walks and lives on eggshells because she never knows what she's going to do that's going to trigger him, that's going to put him into a tirade. So he still does this, but he doesn't do it to as many people as he used to. And certainly the family members that used to see him regularly, they see him less and less. They don't visit him as much. He comes and visits them sometimes. They put up with him because he's their father, and they don't know yet the terms or the condition of narcissism. They just think their dad is a bit crazy. They just think their dad is extravagant or just weird, or angry, or they don't like their dad, but they feel like, but he's our dad, so, we got to put up with this. Yeah, so that's another aging narcissist. They don't get better. These are people in their 70s and they don't get better. They just get weaker physically. They don't have as much stamina as they used to have, right? They can't control you as much as they used to. They can't intimidate you the way they used to, right? And they also can't continue on an argument or a fight for hours the way they used to because they're tired. Yeah, I mean, that's the crazy thing is you watch them and you're like, oh my gosh, they're still not pleasant to be around. They're still not the people that you go, I can't wait to visit them. They're still not people who've learned from life and you can get wisdom from. Their wisdom is scary stuff. If to ask them what their advice would be, it's just everything. It's either they're either just hypocritical. They'll tell you everything that they don't do. Like they'll tell you about the golden rule, which they don't do. They'll tell you about investing, which they don't do. They'll tell you about giving to other people, which they don't do. Because they kind of know in their head the right way to live. They've heard it by this age, in their 70s. They've heard the right way to live. They just don't live that way. Or the other thing they might tell you, though, is just live the way they do. They act as if, the world is awful. Just take what you can. before somebody else hurts you, you should hurt them first, that type of advice. And you don't want to follow their life advice, because you look at their life and you see where they are, and there's no way you want to end up where they are. All right, you guys. So those are two of the ones that I think about when I think about the aging narcissist. There's another narcissist that's not quite as old, but also aging, in the 40s or so. And I think about these narcissists that I know who are in their 40s, and what I notice about them is they still need affirmation. They still need validation. They're at that stage where they um, they they are so severely injured when you walk away, when you go no contact, when you tell them, I've had enough and I think this is not a good relationship for me, and you leave, and they can't believe that you're leaving. They'll beg and cry and grab onto you as if, you're this terrible abandoning, sense, was it not senseless, but insensitive person. And they make you out to be this terrible person who gives up on people, so they will, little by little, try to reach back into your life. They want affirmation. They want you to notice them. They want you to think that they have forgiven you for everything. So let's move on, and let's be friends. And what you cannot trust these people, okay? That's the first thing I got to tell you. You cannot trust them. And your heart might be, oh, but they're trying, and I want to reach back, and I want to reconnect, and I want to let them back into my life. But the problem there is that once they do get back into your life, they will start the manipulation again. They will start, inserting little guilt trips. They'll start taking from you, whether you realize it or not. Well, they may be physically stealing from your home, or they might start undermining you in your relationships, right, with your mutual friends. They'll start putting you down behind your back again without you knowing. And you're thinking, oh, I'm letting them back in, so I'm doing them a favor. So they're going to be grateful. They're going to be grateful that I'm letting them back in. So they're going to be better this time around. They're going to be nicer. They're not going to do the same things they did last time. But that's not the truth. They're going to fall right back into their natural cycle. They're going to fall right back into how they've always treated people. And someone earlier said, why are they so greedy? That's it. That is part of their nature. They are not going to suddenly become generous people. They're going to always be greedy. They're always going to be pulling from those around them and taking from those around them. So you guys, those are some of the narcissists that I know. So one of the ones in their 40s, they're still, they're still it still bothers them. It bothers them that they have not left on good terms with some people, right? It bothers them that there are people out there. So they're at this age now where they've probably accumulated a lot of enemies, right? They've gotten to the point where they've burned a lot of bridges, and they are tired of burning bridges, and they don't know how to not burn bridges anymore. And yet they keep burning them. They think that maybe they can rebuild these bridges. And that's why sometimes you might hear from them, because they're thinking there's something wrong in my life. Let me try and rebuild this bridge. And if I can rebuild this bridge, then it wasn't me. I wasn't the problem. It's other people. Other people have the problem because I can repair bridges, right? So they'll come back, they'll try to repair the bridge with you, and only to end up using you again, and then burning that bridge again. It's just their cycle. And they get to a certain point, like I said, into their 70s, where they just get so tired, and they kind of go with the flow. And those who are committed to them, like, their spouses, those who have to stay at that point in their, they're both in their 70s, what they don't their victims don't leave, and so they continue to abuse their victims. They continue until they die. It's just really uh, not a good existence, and not a good existence for anybody to be with them. So that's what I want you to know when you're curious and you're wondering what's going on with your narcissist. Excuse me, you guys. Let me have a drink of my tea. When you're thinking, about your ex, and wondering if you're missing out, um, wondering if in 10, 20 years you will regret having left them, uh, I want you to understand that you know who they are. You've already seen their track history, right? You already know what they have done to you. And that's why it's really important to write these things down, to remind yourself that this is who that person is. This is how they've been. And all the years you've been with them, they didn't change. And in fact, they were getting worse. So people like that do not get better. They get more tired, they get worn down, they get weaker, but they don't get better. So on the outside, it seems like they're getting better because there's still people who will spend time with them, still people who will travel with them, still people who will go on their boat with them, let's say, right? Still people who will come and visit them, even if it's just for a day or two, because they cannot handle the narcissist for very long. Still people who invite them into their homes, year after year after year for holidays or something, right? Family get-togethers or whatever. Seems like they're living a normal, healthy, happy life. But what's really happening is that they're this empty shell walking around, walking amongst their family members, not able to connect to them, not able to have any deep conversations, just very, very shallow interactions. And that's all they can manage. Then they're the other kind of narcissists where people just put up with them, right? Because they're related, or they are in the same building or whatever, they're together, but they just put up with them. And this is the acerbic, just yucky, acidic person who nobody really wants to be around, but they will tolerate this person, right? And spend minimal amount of time with them, and then say, okay, I did my part, and move on. Either way, this is not good. But from the outside, it might look like, oh, people who are putting up with the narcissist like the narcissist. It looks like it, but they're just putting up with it. They're making the best out of the moment that they have to be with the narcissist, the time that they're interacting with the narcissist. They're trying to just make it as pleasant as they can, and then they move on. It's really sad, but the narcissist just doesn't experience love. They don't experience unconditional love, even if they're given unconditional love. And you know that, right? You've given the narcissist in your life unconditional love. And what did they do with it? What did they do with the unconditional love that you gave them? They squandered it, right? They betrayed it. They, in fact, fought against you, right? They started blaming you, projecting onto you all of their characteristics, right? Even though you were just trying to smother them with love and surround them with love and forgiveness and acceptance. And at the same time, they will have less respect for you and treat you worse and worse and worse the more unconditional love you give them. So imagine them walking around in their 70s around people, maybe their nieces and nephews, grandkids, at this point, and the younger generation trying to give them love, trying to give them hugs, and they'll receive the hugs. They'll receive the kisses and hugs and how are you doing, grandma, and all that. But they just don't connect. They don't connect on a deeper level. They don't connect emotionally. They're not the kind of grandparents where the grandkids are going to be so connected to, that the grandkids would be sad not to see them. It's so hard to say that. It's so sad to say that. The grandkids like them, love them, care about them, but the interactions with them is so shallow that it doesn't make much of an impact on the nieces or nephews or grandkids or, whatever they are, in their lives, the younger generation. And think about this. When you get older, wouldn't you want to have a connection with your grandkids where they're going to say, wow, your legacy will live on in them? Your legacy of wisdom, your legacy of care or compassion will live on with them because they saw this in you. Sadly, with the narcissist, there's no such legacy. There is no such legacy. Their grandkids will just see them like, okay, there's grandma, there's grandpa, there they are, and there's no connection. None. It's just, they are just by name, my grandparent, or by blood, right? But emotionally, spiritually, uh, there's just, they don't have a feeling of loss or a feeling of depth with the grandparent. So that is my experience with narcissists and where they are now. The thing that's hardest, I think, probably for us is when we see the narcissist, the rich narcissist, because for them, life appears normal. Life appears like it's full. Life looks like it's blessing them because they're traveling, they have assets, they have homes, they have whatever, nice cars, they have boats, they have people around them all the time. But the people who are around them, even though there are some people who are not using them, they'll be invited into family functions, family gatherings. Their siblings will still tolerate them and bring them along. They're older and they're all getting older, so they're going to give more value to family connections, right? So even the one with the narcissist, and they're going to have the narcissist included when they do family things. So it looks like, oh, the narcissist's life is going well. They're being accepted. They're surrounded by family. They're traveling. They're living in a nice home. And you're thinking, why shouldn't I go back with them? Why shouldn't I, bring them back into my life or interact with them again? I mean, you can interact with them, but know that you cannot have an intimate relationship with them because nobody has an intimate relationship with them, even those who are around them, even the ones that are still in their life, who see them every year, who are traveling with them. None of them really have an intimate relationship with a narcissist. And the ones that are closest to the narcissist, the ones that are using the narcissist the most, the rich narcissist that is, using their money or their assets, these people are leeches. And you can't get close to leeches either, because leeches are also very greedy people, right? They may not mean to be greedy, but they live from a stance of victimhood. So they feel entitled to the narcissist's money. They feel entitled because they're related that the narcissist should help them. They feel entitled that, the narcissist should give them everything that they can to help them. So those relationships are not ideal. They're not the kind of relationships that you would want to have for yourself. You wouldn't want somebody coming around you simply because they feel entitled to what you have because they're related to you, right? You don't want them to come because they feel like, well, you're my sister, so you have to help me. Or you're my mom, so you have to do this for me. Or you're, whatever it might be. Or you're my grandparent, so, I expect you to pay my tuition. And it's like, wow, no. Why would you want somebody who expects this of you and doesn't just love you for who you are? So be very careful when you think about where you want to be as you get older, where you want to be when you enter your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, right? As you get older and you're thinking, what kind of relationships do I want? Do I want it just to look nice on the outside? Or do I want the ones that nobody knows about? It's not trumpeted around town that I have all these great, amazing friendships. But you have a couple of really close people who you can share your heart with, people that you share your life with, people that you share your wisdom with, and who share their wisdom with you. It's so much more enriching. People who encourage you and people that you encourage as well. People who are going to miss you when you're not there anymore, right? These are the kinds of relationships we actually want to build. And narcissists just don't build those kinds of relationships. Let me see here. There's so many comments. I want to hear about your experiences. So I'm going to come down a little bit and see where to start here. Okay. Oh, agriculturist, good to see you. I think, okay, I think I'm back to where I left off. Access says, my girlfriend tried to gaslight me into staying with her when I told her we were done. So I'm wondering about my now ex-girlfriend. It's like she thought me leaving was amusing. Yeah. Well, they do things to console themselves. So that might have been why she reacted that way. Harriet, good to see you. Yep, narking all day. That's what narcs do, they narc. Mike says, but why do they have to narc the ones that care for them? Because they don't understand it. They are very paranoid. Narcissists are very paranoid people. They think that if someone's nice to them, that person must be using them. But then the people who are really using them know how to play them and know how to manipulate them to the point where they think this person is not manipulated. It's so twisted. I have seen this. I've seen how people will use guilt against a narcissist, right? They'll use the same tools that a narcissist uses to control people. And then the narcissist gets played. The narcissist gets controlled. And they have no clue. Because you know what, by the way, some people will say narcissists are very shrewd or very clever, but not really. Not really. Narcissists are very emotional people. And they can be manipulated, right? They will be manipulated just like other people get manipulated. But they don't think they're being manipulated. They can't imagine, because they're so brilliant in their own minds, right, that nobody could possibly play them. And that's when they get played. And then they think they act with their paranoia. So those who really are good to them, who've never shown them anything but love, they'll question it because the manipulators in their life will cut down the person who actually cares about them, right? Because the manipulators want to make sure that the person who cares about the narcissist doesn't get anything. It's such a sordid, crazy, drama-filled, horrible life. Yeah. So, let me see. Harriet says, narcs are demons that use their bodies as vessels to target God's children. Sex with narc causes a demonic covenant. That's why it's so strong. Ooh. I don't know about demonic, but here's the thing. When you do have sex with somebody, you do build a bond. There are times where you think you're not because it's just physical and that's it. And in today's society, there's a lot of that going on. Whether you're bonding with that person for a lifelong thing or not, you tend to something happens chemically in your body and in their body when you have sex. You can't change that. It's just biological. It happens. So when that happens, you create some sort of a bond with them. Whether it's really strong or weak, it's still going to be there. It's this connection that you make with somebody. So be careful who you sleep with, because you don't want to be bound to them through this chemical change in your body. Yeah. So let me see. Access says, because they don't see people as people, no matter who they are. People are tools to them, which they use to further their own aims. Yeah. Mike says, do they realize they are narking or manipulating? Yeah, some of them do. They know, but It's just, they think that's just the way people are, and that's how you're supposed to live life. Like, this is part of living life, is manipulating people to do what you want them to do. Harriet says, narcissists are not human in biblical sense. Oh, wait, I already read that. Or maybe they wrote it again. Hold on, let me get some more tea. Oh, yeah, okay. Actually says they know that they are manipulating, I assume here, but they're in constant denial about it. Harriet says they are self-aware but love what they do. Supply is addictive. Yeah. Axis says deep down they know what they are, but it's someone else's fault that they do what they do. This is also very true. They accept themselves, or they accept their faults and their bad behavior, and they blame their bad behavior on someone else. Oh my gosh, what was that song? It's horrible. Look at what you made me do. What the heck is that? You're like, you made me do this. No, nobody makes you do anything. No matter what somebody else does, you have a choice in how you react. Okay. Now, you may have limited choices, but you still have choices. So they can't make you do one thing only. You still have other choices. Yeah, just know that. And I'm not saying that to blame. I'm saying that to empower you. Empower you, because when you are feeling like there's no other choice, there is nothing else you can do, take a step back, give yourself a moment, and think of, try and brainstorm. Essentially, that's what you have to do. Brainstorm. What else could I do? I don't want to react in this one way, but what else can I do? What are my other choices? And that's when you realize you have control. You have the power to direct your life regardless of what somebody else did, right? Yep. So let me see these other comments here. Mike says, makes sense. It's like a drug addict. They're addicted to the supply, right? Yeah, we're the supply and are the drug to the narcissist. It's affirmation. They're seeking constant affirmation. They want to be lifted up. They want to be seen. And here's the deal. Everybody wants to know that they matter, right? You want to know that you matter. You guys here, coming on here, and I want you to know that you matter. You matter to me. That's why I read out your names. That's why I read out your comments, because you matter. And I want you to know you are seen. I see you. I see your comments, and I want to acknowledge you. You matter. Narcissists have such low self-esteem that they don't feel like they matter, and they want to feel that they matter. So they are constantly seeking this from other people, constantly, it's like they have a hole at the bottom of their bucket, and you cannot fill that bucket because there's that hole, there's that damage, right? And the rest of us, though, we don't have a hole at the bottom of our bucket. When we're affirmed, we receive it, we internalize it, we feel good, we walk around, this is great. And that's not to say we never need affirmation again, but it stays with us. We're reminded of it. And even if later on we don't get affirmation, we go back and we think about the time we did get affirmation, and that propels us, that invigorates us. It gives us what we need, right, to take the next step. Whereas the narcissist doesn't go back and think about, oh yeah, that time I did get affirmation. They're thinking it's not there anymore. It's, went out the hole in the bottom of the bucket. Now they need more. They need to refill this. They need more supply to continually put into this bucket. That they matter. Yeah. So let me see here. Julie says they don't care what they do to others. If you cause a narcissistic injury, they feel completely justified that you deserve their wrath. Yes, this is true. Harriet says, my ex-narc is a medical doctor who has money, but still uses others. Yep, he's so full of rage. I won't be surprised if he ends up killing his new supply for her house. Wow, It's really horrible. But, that doesn't surprise me either. Watching the crime shows that I have watched, and um, I've done some videos uh, portraying or pinpointing the narcissistic aspects of some of these criminals. That's why I do some of those videos to show you. But yeah, they lose their mind and they don't see other people's lives as valuable at all. They don't see you as valuable. You're only valuable as far as they can use you. And after that, you're not valuable anymore. And then once they're done using you, they're done. You have no more value. Access says the narc I booted in 2018 is just about 30 years old and she looks like a model. She broadcasts herself online for her supply. She has a lot of male orbiters who throw all their money at her. Yep. And it might look like from the outside, like, wow, they're doing so well. Well, she's in her 30s. She probably will still look good in her 40s, possibly into her 50s. And it's not to say that a narcissist can't have what looks like an amazing life for a good 50 years. They could. They really could. But inside, to be them, it's like I said again, it's an empty bucket. Or not an empty bucket. It's a bucket with a hole at the bottom. It's not ever going to be filled. It's not ever going to be peaceful, right? It's never going to be a point where you just feel like, wow, I've reached harmony in my life, Yeah. Julie says, I'm a retired nurse and I know that a lot of MDs can be narcissistic. Yeah. Julie says, you're welcome. Here's the thing I think too about, MDs. I don't know. I think some of them are, but some of them aren't. I know a lot of nurses, and everybody though can be narcissistic. A janitor can be narcissistic. That's the crazy thing, right? So how much more then is it likely that somebody who has power, who has position, who has authority, the tendency for them, or the temptation, I guess, for them to be narcissistic is even greater because they have control over people, right? They have authority over a large group of people. And for them not to be narcissistic is much harder. So I really applaud the people who have authority, who are up high, um, who have, what is it? Oh, I'm trying to think of, sorry, I'm telling you, I have not slept very well for the last couple of weeks. But those who have influence, right, over people, and they know it, and yet they're humble. That, to me, is really valuable. That's a valuable person. Yeah. Okay, Harriet says, I don't think female narcs are bad. Once a woman has kids, she mellows down. Well, Harriet, it depends. I have not seen that. I've seen that when they have kids, they have gotten worse because then they start to control the kids. They might seem like they've mellowed out at first because the child is just a baby and can't really annoy the narcissist. Wait until the child is about a preteen or even before that. Wait until the child is 4 or 5 years old and wants their own way. The narcissist and that child will butt heads. That, or if the child becomes their little fan club, the child worships them, then that will make the narcissist feel great. Then the narcissist will get along great with that child. But if that child has their own mind and is a spirited child, right, the narcissist is not going to mellow out. It will be a battle between them and the child until that child leaves the house. Or another thing that I've seen also actually is between a narcissist and their children is they get jealous of their children. Yeah. So male narcissists may become jealous of male children if their male child is more handsome, more athletic, more successful than they are, more personable than they are. Female, same thing. She may become jealous of her female children if the because the female child reminds her that she's not as young anymore, is not as beautiful anymore. I mean, it works out just great when the kid's only 4 or 5 years old. But when this kid gets to be 13, 14, 16 years old and is just gorgeous, she is now, the narcissist is now, in her 30s and 40s, 50s, and looking at that child and is very jealous that the child is getting attention, even possibly from the dad, right? From the spouse, saying how beautiful she is. The mom will become extremely jealous, as narcissists are, and will attack the child, will be abusive, will cut her down. So these are things that will happen. So just because they have children, and actually I've seen the opposite, when they have children, they get worse because now they have competition. And not just competition, they have somebody who's needy, who needs them to step up and be a parent, and they're not. Yeah. So let me see here. Access says female narcs, like male narcs, are pure monsters. They always have the harems, the flying monkeys, and smear campaign on steroids. Yeah. Julie says, MG, female narcissists can be extremely abusive. I've had my guy friends experience this. Yes, I agree with that. So, I've seen male and female narcissists on a wide spectrum. Okay, you guys, I've seen some who seem like, oh, they're not that bad, right? From the outside, you think they seem pretty pleasant, pretty nice. They're not, you haven't seen the physical abusive side of them. So you think they're not so bad. But when you are one of those victims that's in the inner circle, you will have a different story. You will have a different experience than those who are in the farther outer circle. So you guys, I've known some female narcissists that I thought, oh, they seem so mild and calm, and they're a little bit weird, and there are some red flags, but generally they seem kind of calm. But then you see their other side, and that's what happened with one in particular I mentioned before. 10 years later, I saw her other side, and I was like, what the heck? I had no idea all of this was brewing underneath all of that, and she kept it from me for 10 years, not just from me, but from others who watch her from the outside, because she liked to be admired. She wanted to appear humble. She wanted to appear as if she's a survivor. She wanted to appear like, this victim who came out of nothing type of thing, right? And there's some aspect of that story that's true about her. But then she's also very abusive. She's also very self-centered. She's also very prideful. She's also very manipulative. She's also, I don't know how to say it, but other than she's just very focused on material wealth. Like that to her means everything. If you can look good, if you can have the right clothing, if you can drive the right car, like that to her was far more important than she relayed over those 10 years. I mean, there were some red flags here and there where she spoke about material things, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess she just really appreciates handbags, or she really appreciates designer clothes. And then it wasn't until later on that you realize, holy cow, this is how she chooses her men. She wants this stuff in her life. Like, this is what's more important to her than, well, to her, that is love, right? Like, she can love a guy who makes a lot of money. She can't love a guy who doesn't make a lot of money. Ugh, so sad. But anyway, and it's all to be used, right? It's all for her to use. And those who end up with her are going to find this out. It's a train wreck. That's all I can say. But then I also know a guy who seemed on the outside like very calm, very sweet, very helpful, very thoughtful, seemed like that, right? But then get to know him closer, that's when I heard the stories of how he's using all these different women and how he actually treats these women. And I was, witness to a couple of his relationships where he used these women and he talked so badly about them behind their back, talked about their nasty bodies and what he thought about, certain parts of their bodies that turned him off or whatever, right? and yet he would still sleep with them. He would still, try manipulate them, and they thought he was going to marry them. Each of these women thought he was going to marry them. So what the heck? What is this? From the outside, before I saw or heard these stories, I thought this person was really kind, was sweet, was, mild. It's not until you're in the inner circle that you witness how vile they are towards other people, the people who are closest to them. Those are the people who get treated really badly. And even these people who think they're the closest to him, oh my gosh. And the woman too, people who thought they were closest to her had no idea how vile they. Oh, hey, you guys, I'm back. I don't know why I went up for a second. So, yeah, or mild, you don't know yet. You have no clue yet what's really going on. Let me see here. My ex-wife is a narc. Access says she's been married 3 times after me. She drains the guy's resources, neglects her kids, and starts to work on getting a new guy when the one she's with figures it out. Yes. Harriet says they walk away from their kids. Yes, they do. Julie's response to Harriet, nothing a narcissist does surprises me. And Access says, in my experience, female narcs are much more vicious than male ones. Males are usually outward about it. The female ones are like stinging scorpions. I've seen both, actually. I've seen both. Just extremely vile, both of them. Mike says, don't piss off a female narc. She will be just as vicious as a male narc and will attack just as fast if they get narc injury. Yep. Harriet says, I believe they can successfully manipulate because they have help in the spiritual realm. I don't know that they have help there. So evil is evil, and people do evil things. People also do compassionate things. So we can get help to do good things, but we can also get help to do bad things, I guess, right? Encouragement on the spiritual realm is what you're probably saying, to do good things and to do bad things. So you know what you do with that when you feel like this person is getting help on the spiritual realm to do negative things? Well, then you get help on the spiritual realm to do good things, right? There's this constant battle, it says in the Bible, between good and evil, and it's in the spiritual realm that this happens. Access says female narcs usually build up a good supply of male orbiters who will do anything for them just for their turn with her. Think the Wicked Witch of the West from Wizard of Oz. Yeah. Mike says, yes, Access, and just as hypocritical too. TV agrees. Julie says, my ex-husband isn't overt. There's nothing covert about him. He's extremely predictable. Yes. There are 2 that I know that are, the 2 older ones that I was talking about, extremely predictable, in that they're explosive, yeah. And then the younger ones, that I know are not as predictable. They're a lot more under the radar in a way. But once you're onto them, you can see it. But other people might not see it. TV says, ex-narc just burned his bridges with our daughter. She's had enough. And this is what they do. I'm really sorry that happened, especially for your daughter. And, being the child of a narcissist is so hard and traumatizing. I hope that she is getting affirmation from you and learning that she is worthy. Mike says, my ex used both male and females to get what she wanted. Yep. Yep, they do. Access says, my female narc ex-friend is addicted to the admiration she gets for her looks. Yes. Sorry, you guys, let me get a drink of tea here. She uses it as her main tool. Once those go, she's gonna go full mommy dearest on her husband. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is what I'm thinking too. When I have friends who are pining, right, for their ex narcissist, they're they're so attracted to their ex physically, right? Attracted to this ex, and they bonded emotionally, spiritually with their ex, and they just want their ex back so badly because their ex is hot. Let's face it. Yeah, the ex is hot. um, the sad thing is that the ex knows it. The narcissist knows that they're hot. They know they can manipulate with their looks, and they're going to use that. And then what happens though is as they get older, they lose their looks. They know they cannot manipulate people anymore with their looks because they're older, they're saggy, they're wrinkly, this is what happens to all of us. And the sooner you can make peace with that and say, that's okay, I will have lived this part of my life where I had my youth, I had my health, I had my physical abilities. And then as I get older, age gracefully. Age gracefully. That's what I hope for myself. I want to age gracefully and accept, like, I'm not going to look like a 20-year-old for the rest of my life. Everybody wants to look like they're 20 into their 70s, and that's just not going to happen. And it looks so scary and sad when you see movie stars, right, doing all this cosmetic surgery to themselves, trying to look like they used to when they were in their 20s, right? They're getting all this Botox and all this collagen injected into their faces. They look like a balloon. Their face looks like a balloon. And they think it looks good because it hides their wrinkles. But at the same time, you're looking at them like, sad to say, Michael Jackson had that issue. Except for he was trying to look Caucasian, which is sad in itself because I thought he looked really good as an African American man, when he was younger. I thought he was a good looking guy. But he kept trying to manipulate himself into something that he thought would look better. Same thing with all these movie stars. They keep manipulating themselves into something they think would look better. And in fact, they make themselves look worse instead of just accepting their natural aging, right? Accepting and just taking good care of themselves. There is a lot that you can do, by the way, as you get older to still look hot. You can still look really good and attractive. You may not look like a 20-year-old and in a bikini or a Speedo, right? But you can still look very attractive, very demure, very handsome. You can still look so good. Yeah. And what even looks better, I think, though, is your attitude. If you walk into a room and your attitude is joy, oh my gosh, I know this couple and they're so sweet. Let me think. They're in their 70s. And both of them, the husband and the wife, are just very pleasant, upbeat, positive people. And I love being around them. Each one of them, they have their own personalities, and it's just beautiful that they're together. But each one of them, when you're with the wife or with the husband, you feel the same. You feel this positive energy. You feel acceptance. You feel love. And to me, that is so attractive. It is so attractive. You want to be around them all the time. And you can imagine, that's the way I want to be with my husband when I'm in my 70s. I want to be like so positive. And let me tell you, I'm going to be so affectionate and so physical with him. It's not going to change just because we're in our 70s. I just think that my husband is going to be so hot to me, even when we're in our 70s, and I'm hoping 80s and 90s, I just am so in love with him that I think that, and his personality is so, so good. He's such a good man that I cannot imagine him being unattractive to me. He's just, yeah. You guys, so for the aging narcissist, where did I go, right? I'm really off on a tangent here. The people who are young now and they know their beauty is, they can use their beauty to manipulate others, right? And you might even be attracted to their beauty. Sadly for the narcissist, as they get older, narcissists do not look better. Narcissists try to cling on to being 20. And as long as they keep trying to cling to that, as they get older, they actually get worse looking. They are the ones who age very, very badly. But the ones who have a good heart, the ones, like I was telling you about this couple who are in their 70s, they're aging well. Like when I see the wife smile, I see her youth. I see her the way I think her husband saw her when he fell in love with her. And I didn't know her when she was young. I met her when she was in her 60s, right? I never knew her when she was young, but just this past week, I was spending some time with her Tuesday night, and she was looking at me and we were talking, and she, was smiling, and I just saw in her face this youth, this beautiful young woman from inside. It's like it's a spiritual thing. Um, so attractive. And I saw like that's what he fell in love with. I know that's like when he saw her, he was just madly in love with her because she was this beautiful, and she still is. She still carries it even in her 70s, right? So you guys, I just want to tell you that narcissists though will lose their looks. They're in their 30s, 40s, they could still possibly look good. 50s, they could possibly still look good. And but generally they will fade. I don't know that they will look good in their 50s. I don't know, maybe. But yeah, it only goes a certain distance for them. Well, you guys, I know I am over time, but I wanted to let you guys finish up your conversations and comments as well. I'll try to get through some of these comments. I'm really sorry that I'm so far behind on comments. So true, Jihad says. My ex-mother-in-law, who is in her 70s, was always abusing her husband, even on his deathbed. She was talking crap, and when he died and they took his body, she was still saying things. Oh, right, Jihad? I'm telling you, dying with a narcissist, you will have lived a miserable life. And in the end, it's not like they get better. It's just, oh, so sad. So sad. I don't know what to tell you about that. I did witness one, though, where in the end, now she was not in her 70s. She was in her 60s when her husband died. She actually was nice to him on his deathbed. Well, okay, at the hospital. She did not want to be at his deathbed. She did not want to be in the same room with him as he was dying. So, in a way, I guess it was abandoning, right? I didn't understand that. But at the hospital, she was nice to him. She spoke kindly to him and all that. But then when he passed away and he was in their home, right? They brought him home for hospice care, and he lasted maybe a week, I think, at their home. She saw him during the day, like daytime, when he was awake and alert. But when he was not and really needed her care, really needed her to hold his hand as he passed away, she did not want to be there. I'm not quite sure what that was about. I cannot get into the mind of the narcissist to figure that out. But yeah, just strange to me, right? Their whole life together, and she did not care to be there that last minute or the last few hours, right, of his life. Okay. Access says once that supply dries up, they go completely insane. Yeah, and they break away from the supply that's no longer there, right? Because you're just a vessel, you're just an empty vessel now to them. So they need to get rid of that empty vessel. You're no good to them anymore. Mike says they always play nice, but now that I am getting more aware of the tactics, they aren't working on me as much. The more we know, the less powerful they are. Yep. Access says abrasive narcs are easy to spot and avoid. It's the covert ones who are the masters at the mask who are the most dangerous. I so agree with you. I so agree with you. The coverts, I think, they're both bad, right? Because the overts can be extremely abusive and are the ones who are like the criminals and serial killers and stuff like that. The coverts, oh my gosh, but some of those serial killers were coverts as well, right? So scary. But the coverts are the ones that you trust, right? You start off trusting them, and they demolish you. It's really hard. Harriet says, I think narcs are robots. They are props in the game of life. They probably won't face God's judgment because they were created without the ability to connect to the creator spiritually. Well, the Bible says everybody's judged. So whether you connect with God or not, you're going to, you get judged, I guess. TV says, yes, they are robots for sure. Julie says, I believe that they are all dangerous no matter what kind of narcissist they are. Yeah. The biggest fear, Access says, of the covert narc being figured out and possibly outed. I think the covert narcs don't even know that they're a narcissist. These are the ones who are dangerous because they actually believe the story they tell themselves. They actually believe that they're the victim. They actually believe that they are good people and that everybody else is evil. They actually believe that what they did was good for you, because you deserved it or you needed to be treated that way. So they are so warped in their heads. You should see the video about the narcissist's warped sense of empathy. That's the way a covert narcissist, well, overts are too, but they're just very warped minded. Access says, when I figured out the ex-friend, she started ghosting me big time. Then she backstabbed me in public. That was the last straw. Yeah, mine backstabbed me in public and private, probably still backstabbing me, and I'm just done with it. So, you know what? Whatever she does, she does. If she's obsessed with me, let that be. But I'm moving on with my life. I'm very happy. I'm so in love with my husband. I have a wonderful, beautiful life. And I'm not saying that to make anybody jealous. I'm saying that because I worked excuse me, you guys. Mm-mm. As you can tell, my sinus stuff is still affecting me. But I'm saying that because I want you to have hope that you can get here too. My life was a disaster from the beginning, from the time I was born. Okay, you guys, I was born in a war-torn country. I was born and abandoned the moment I was born. I was left in an orphanage. I was not nourished because we were at war, and I did not have nutrition. I didn't have affection. That time when they say, oh, the first 6 months of a baby's life is so important because that's where they learn how to connect. I had none of that. And that's why I also I'm with therapists, but I'm also without therapists. I'm on their side, but then sometimes I'm not because I don't agree with everything they say. I buck the trend. I don't agree that that's the only time that you learn how to connect, because I went through that, and for a long time I believed what therapists and psychologists said about babies not being able to connect, and that's why they become serial killers or this and that. I'm like, holy cow, then I should be one too, right? And no, I'm not. I'm not like that. And I do connect with people and I have compassion. If anybody should be angry at the world and hateful and a criminal, and my husband looks at me and he loves me so well because he knows me so well. He looks at me and he says, holy cow, if anybody should have been an addict by the time you were 14, you should have been. If anybody should have been a criminal by the time you were 16 and in jail, you should have been. If anybody should have been, the stuff that I had gone through in my childhood was pure crap. And it I almost want to cry, but I've said this story so many times that I feel somewhat more in control of it. But when you've been given such a horrible start in your life, it doesn't mean this is the rest of your life. When I was liberated as an adult, at the age of 18, I made some really stupid mistakes. I made some really stupid decisions as my own person. But I also knew that I wanted good things in my life. I had so many bad things in my life for all of my life that I wanted good things. I didn't want to hurt people on my way to getting good things, but I know I did. I know I hurt people on my way because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know how to be a person. I didn't know how to be compassionate. I had no self-esteem whatsoever. I had no self-worth. I allowed people to use me, physically as well as emotionally. I allowed people to abuse me. Um, into my adult life because I didn't know how to be an individual. But here I am. I feel so good. I feel healed. I feel like I want to share this with you guys. And this is why I do this channel. I want to give you hope. I want you to know that no matter where you've come from, there is still hope. No matter what has happened to you that you were not in control of, you don't have to take that on to the rest of your life. So you guys, yeah, that's a little bit of my story. So crazy, right? And you'll get to know me more and more, and I'll start to share more and more of my story as we go as well. I know it's been a while, but I want to get there. I want to share with you guys that life has not always been peaches and cream for me. And some people have looked at me who are bitter, right? I have circles of friends here who don't, some of them don't know me very well, and they don't know my backstory at all. They just know me now. They know me how I am now. And they think you must have had a really easy life because of where you are now. You are, you must not have suffered the same trauma that I suffered. You must have had a good relationship child. You must not have known what abandonment is. They look at me and they will say these things to me, and I'm like, okay, I'm not here to compete with them, so I don't say anything back to them. I just let them speak. I let them um, talk about their pain and their trauma. But they look at me and I try to let them know, no, I've made choices, and I want you to make choices too. I want you to make choices to get yourself out of this so that you don't live the rest of your life in misery and in pain and controlled by that pain. Okay, you guys. So kind of got off topic, off track, but that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Where the narcissist is, they don't grow out of it. They take it to the grave. They have very shallow relationships. They don't know how to connect to people. And here, this is coming from somebody who, as a child, was not held for the first, let me think. I was not taken out of the orphanage until I was 9 or 10 months old. So for the first 9, 10 months of my life, I was not held any more than was necessary by, I guess, whoever was working in the orphanage, and they have dozens of babies. I have not more. I don't even know how big the orphanage was. But I know that when I was taken out of the orphanage at the age of 9 or 10 months, I couldn't roll. I couldn't lift my head. I couldn't, even push myself up if I was on my stomach. I couldn't put my arms under myself. So that tells you, 9-month-olds, my kids, they all walked by the time they were 9, 10 months old. Yeah, I know that's kind of early for a lot of people because I've seen other kids who don't walk until they're a year old. But 9 months, kids usually are able to sit up. They're able to feed themselves. They're able to sit in a high chair, right? They're able to crawl at least if they're not walking yet. I was not able to move. I couldn't move myself. I just laid there. And that is my life. That's how I started. So for people to tell you, oh, you weren't loved as a child and you couldn't make that connection, that's BS, okay? Even from these ridiculous therapists who are telling you this, that's crap. I'll tell you that right now, because the love that I have now with my children, the love that I have with my husband is incredible. And I want that for everybody. And my kids, they're amazing, amazing people, incredibly deep, loving people. And that's what I want you to know. I want you to know that you can break this cycle, that you don't have to have what happened in the past control what is going to happen in your future. Well, you guys, I went so far, so wide, and kind of off topic, but not really. What I want you to know is that the aging narcissist, where the narcissists are, is nowhere that you want to be, okay? You are not missing out by being away from that narcissist. You have the chance, the opportunity, the hope to move on now, to do with your life the things that are going to bring beauty into your life, bring beauty into your children's life, into your family's life, into your friends' lives. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I want to do. I want to bring beauty into my friends' lives. And right now, it's so heartwarming to me that friends are coming into my life. I've gotten to this point where they're coming into my life and they want to stay in my life because I have reached this point where I'm able to give. I'm able to be an individual. I'm able to be healthy minded. And you guys, I just want you all there with me as well. So many blessings to you. Have a great week. I'm feeling so much better. So next week I should be 100%. And hopefully I will hear from you from I will hear from you through the week on my other videos, and even on this video. If you guys want to comment, I do check my comments at least once a week and respond to them. So if you want to stay in communication with me and let me know what's going on, comment on one of my videos. Hopefully YouTube will alert me to which video I got to comment on. Sometimes they don't. But if you comment on the latest video, which is this one, I will definitely see it. What else? Yeah, so that's it. I love you guys. I think you guys are wonderful. You are worthy to me. You matter to me. I want you to know that. If you're here, you are worthy. You matter. I hear you. I see you. And I read your comments. Even if I didn't read your comments out loud, I go back sometimes and I see your comments. So I do see you. And I want you to know that. Arby, I see you. Charlotte, I see you. Let me see somebody. Agriculturist, I'm so glad that you guys did make it, that you did make it here. It's been a while. So you guys, many blessings to you. Goodbye, Mike. Goodbye, Harriet. Goodbye, TV, Julie. Goodbye, John. It was good to see you guys. Mark, goodbye. And many, many blessings to you. Have a great week. And I will see you here again next week.